This is an introduction to some of the features found in the Google Plus Tweaks extension and user script. First thing I want to do is show you how to access the options, the things that you can enable and disable in this script. You'll notice that the extension, if installed correctly, has added a menu item under this settings menu called Google Tweaks that you can go ahead and click on to bring up the extension's options dialog window. A lot of these features are enabled by default, but I've gone ahead and disabled them all so I can show them to you one at a time. First thing I'm going to do is click on the Hide tab because I've had to put a block over my contacts in order to hide them for privacy's sake for this video. So what I can do is check on this Hide Chat List box, click Save and Reload, and as the page finishes loading here, we'll see that the chat box is now gone.
The next thing we're going to look at is the ability to force Google Plus to take up the entire width of your browser. One of my pet peeves is that these columns are relatively thin and I can't see much of what's going on. So if I go ahead and go into our options here, I can check full width, click Save and Reload, and now Google Plus takes up the entire width, and for me at least it's a lot easier to read. You can get a little bit more on the screen. We can further increase readability in Google Plus by enabling the readability function here, which I borrowed heavily from an extension called Google Plus Ultimate. It's located right here. Check that, save. And what this does is sets the non-post elements to have this nice clean gray background and really shifts the focus to the posts themselves. Again, shout out to Google Plus Ultimate as an extension that gave me the idea to implement this for my own work. A lot of times in Google Plus you'll see a lot of noise in the comments that keep showing up that make it kind of hard to focus on the actual content of what's being posted. We can shrink a lot of this down with a couple features, first of which being inline +1s and shares, and the second of which being toggle comments. So these two features, you can see the transition that just happened there, really streamline the post so that we focus on the actual content. The inline plus shares adds the number of +1s right here and the number of shares right there. You can see we can still click on that and still have access to the information itself. And toggle comments takes the number of comments and makes it a little button next to the comment button, so that if I click on this I can actually expand the comments. You can click on this bar to collapse the comments again. And I know a lot of the toggling comments is built into Google Plus itself now, but this really gets rid of them. We can just see a new one came in that auto updates and everything's set. Next thing I want to look at is a feature called Easy Mentions. It's based on an extension called Replies and More by Matt Mistracci, and what it does is lets us easily mention someone's name in a comment. You see it's added this little plus button next to Dave's name here. Normally if I wanted to post a comment I would hit plus and then start typing and I could mention him that way. However, I can make this even faster just by clicking this plus button and easily mentioning these people without having to type their names, and I'm sure I've got the right person. Now if I post, this shows up and you can see these are working. Now I can also see this little plus sign in front of their names. I find that kind of redundant given that it's already a link, so why would we want to show a little plus sign there too? It's kind of like the @ in Twitter. I can hide the mention prefix, and if we look at this again we can now see that it just has the names, and there's that I can then mention him again